Стрельбе готово! Враг уничтожен!
What is going on, guys? So I hope you enjoyed the intro to that video. So instead of doing a normal gameplay commentary type thing today, finishing off the sickness, and I don't really feel like playing and talking. It's just a lot, and I've been coughing and stuff, and muting the mic for cough breaks and stuff is not cool. So what I figured I'd do today is a short video and talk about how to kill these new tier 6 vehicles. Now, they're very good against APHE, solid AP rounds, and heat-based rounds, chemical rounds. So like Heat FS, they don't do as much damage to composite armor as they would against normal rolled homogeneous steel. So I mean, we already had well, that was actually a burp. I don't know where that came from. I think I just chugged like lemonade, and that came off the top. So we'll start with the T-64. I'm only going to cover the MBTs. All the other tanks are pretty easily penned, and none of them really have composite or anything like that. Now, you saw previously in the beginning of this video, how to kill all the tier 6 vehicles with tier 6 vehicles. The hardest one to kill and take out is by far the Chieftain. Chieftain Mark 10 actually has resistant armor to all the other tier 6s if it's hold down. You saw me shoot the turret of it multiple times with the T-64. It doesn't pen. You have to treat it like a normal Chieftain and shoot it in the bottom of the hull, the lower front plate, which is the biggest. You know, it's a very strong tank, but the thing with the Chieftain is it's super vulnerable if it's moving, and it's slow as hell. So moving to different spots, it's not easy to relocate with that tank, so you can catch it off guard more frequently. Alright, we'll start over here with the MBT-70. For the sake of this video, I will take my bushes off. Bushes, no good for this, no good. So the MBT-70 has some composite armor on the turret, as you can see here, and composite armor on the upper front plate. Shooting at this tank, the composite armor is not that good. It's good, but it's not as good as you would think. It's effective against 280 millimeters of chemical energy and 320 kinetic. If you're shooting APFSDS from any tier 6 vehicle, mainly the Russian ones, you will pen the cheeks of this tank. So if you see one and you're in a T-62, you're in a T-55 shooting APFSDS, which I suggest you start using as your main rounds. Any solid type of kinetic energy round, I suggest you use as your main rounds and carry Heat FS as a backup. Just shoot the left side of the tank. The reason you shoot the left cheek is because when we're in X-ray, you see there are 2 guys, and this is only a 3-crew vehicle. If you shoot the left side of the vehicle and you kill the gunner, you will definitely kill the commander behind him. You have a chance of hitting an ammo rack, but the 2 guys out of the tank, you can't operate a tank with only 1 man. So that would automatically knock out the tank. If you have to, and you're using another tier 6 vehicle, you can see you can go through the upper front plate as well. The MBT is not that strong of a vehicle. It bounces very odd things, but it doesn't bounce everything, and it's not impenetrable. Now, a quick thing to note, if you are going to shoot at these, right, and you are in a tier 6 vehicle, let's say you're at a Leopard, or you're in, I don't know, a T-55 or whatnot, anything, and you have to shoot a KBZ or an MBT-70 from the side, make sure you shoot at the turret, first off, if you have a kinetic round, and you have to shoot at the turret. If you shoot at the chassis, there's a huge chance, you can see here, the profile's a lot larger than the actual crew members, and I mean, how many times have we had different games where you shoot and pen, and you hit somebody in the foot, but they don't actually die? So if you hit the turret, there's a guaranteed chance you're going to hit something. You can see inside the turret, everything's very clustered about. When I shoot this thing from the side, I shoot right here or right here, and usually cause a one shot. Now there's ammo, hip height, there's ammo and stuff, and if all else fails, let's say you're super low to your tank, shoot at the back of the turret, you might be able to hit some ammo, but if somebody's running a low ammo count, I don't know how much of these are filled up. Now, to kill the Rise, which is an interesting tank, and the reason I didn't show this in the beginning video is because the Rise is a little bit different. It's kind of self-explanatory. Anywhere there's ERA, you shouldn't shoot heat at, you shouldn't shoot ATGMs at, but kinetic still goes through the same. So if you're shooting at this thing, treat it like a normal M60. If you're shooting kinetic, if you're shooting heat FS, you have to treat it like an M60 that's invulnerable to your first shot anywhere you see the bricks, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Everything else is the same on this tank. Now, taking a look at the T64, the armor on the T64 is a lot better than on the MBT-70, but it is still pretty weak in comparison to the Chieftain, say. The turret, 400 and 450 millimeters, the upper front plate, 450 and 305. So the 305 does actually hold true, surprisingly enough. I think they took the sloping into effect, and I got penned today from an angle probably like this, shooting up at me, and he still penned my upper front plate, which makes no sense to me. I don't think that this composite is working 100% to plan, but it still is good to note for this patch that if you have to shoot at a T64, as long as you have over 300 mils of pen, put around on the upper front plate, and you should be able to kill him. Now, T64 is another tank with only a 3-man crew because it has an autoloader. So if you're going to shoot at this thing, upper front plate, the lower plate is great. But if you have to shoot, make sure you shoot center mass, because if you shoot center mass, you will kill the driver and you will get some of the ammo rack, which is in a ring underneath the turret. Now the side, self-explanatory, just shoot, mid section of the tank. You'll take out both guys in the crew and hit some ammo. Worst comes to worst, if you know you cannot pen this thing, right? Looking at the ammo and what it's effective against, if it's hold down or whatnot. Take out the gun. You can see that the composite ends when we zoom in. There is no composite in this side of the turret. Right in here, there's no composite. There's a thin layer. Now, there's still 200 to 300 millimeters of effective rolled homogeneous or cast homogeneous steel, but you can see this weak spot, whereas there's 100 millimeters and then it's all green up in here. And this is my biggest gripe with playing this tank, is I get my breach knocked out every single game. It never fails. So if you have to shoot something, let's say you have heat loaded and you're scared, you don't know what to do, pop the heat left or right of the gun, and you should be able to knock out the breach, knock out the weapon, rendering the tank useless. He has to run away and repair, and then hopefully you'll catch him outside. How about that? Another thing to note, never shoot at these fins. They will knock out any ATGM, any heat, anything coming at any angle like this, unless it's more than, what kind of angle is this? Let's just check real quick. This is like a, I don't know what kind of, oh wait, I don't know what kind of angle this actually is, but anything, so past this, obviously, if you can squeeze around in here, you can go in between the fins. But if you have to, you have to shoot at the tank like this, I would say lower plate is probably the best bet, or just take out the gun again. And last but not least, we will take a look at the Chieftain Mark 10. Very, very easy to explain this one. If he's hold down, you got to hit the gun. There's no other way. There is absolutely no other way. The Still Brew is insanely strong against, against any type of round. I have been bouncing ATGMs, APFSDS, anything. I've bounced everything in this thing. It has to do with the sloping. It just conforms to the turret so well. But the lower front plate, I mean, as we can see, is the same 72, 76 millimeters that the normal Chieftain has. So it's basically the same tank, just impenetrable turret. So think that way when you're shooting at it. The breach, too, and down here is all still very hard to pen, because underneath the Still Brew, there's still armor. There's still a normal Chieftain turret. So the max thickness of this thing could be anywhere up to like 700 effectiveness, which is insane. It's absolute madness. So definitely don't shoot a Chieftain Mark 10 in the turret if you can avoid it. Try to take out his gun. There's a little bit under the gun, and you can see, even looking at the normal model, how much the Still Brew is where the still brew is. I mean, you can see this pretty clearly when you're looking at the tank too, where the still brew is, and you can get around right up in here. But obviously the upper front plate, again, will bounce, you know, pretty much everything. It's an auto ricochet, and it'll just go up into the still brew and bounce. So lower front plate, side of the tank, and that's pretty much it. Now, I didn't go over the sides of the tank because any tank from the side is pretty much vulnerable. You just have to know how many crew they have. So that's what I tried to take note that all the new MBTs, aside from the Chieftain, have 3 crew members. So if you take out 2, tank's rendered useless. Absolutely done. Hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope this helps you guys out. I should have some 8.0 gameplay coming up in the near future, because I want to show you guys that stuff's still usable, even with the new tier 6s, and hopefully they raise the BR for that stuff in the future as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bitter pill keep throwing you back. Nothing but empty sugar, no high, just crash. Tongue got me numb, I lose the words to tell myself how much you hurt. But bitter pill keep throwing you back.